Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Tonight we're going to be talking about how does EMF and 5G exposure impact you. We're going to talk about the dangers, the symptoms, and how we can protect ourselves. So our presentation is based off of Dr. Jocker's article from June 13th, 2020, and we will be happy to share. So Dr. Justine is available if you have any questions. Obviously, this is maybe new information to you. It might be some relevant information, but there's lots of things that might come up, and you can feel free to text her at 647-987-9355. So today we have Dr. Justine and Dr. Udani with us, and Dr. Justine is the owner and primary chiropractor at Justine Blaney Wellness Center. She has an incredible naturopathic team that she supports and leads, but she also is a leader in the community with health. And so she is a passionate motivational speaker. She is a popular author so she has her own book. And you know what? She really is passionate about each person deserving a healthcare team that focuses on prevention, optimal health, and about really communicating and understanding your needs. So Dr. Udani is with us today, and she's our naturopathic doctor here at Justine Blaney Wellness Center. She in herself is also very passionate in multiple areas, and especially during this time about stress. And, you know, she really has some incredible ways of being able to help us through that chronic pain as well as skin conditions. And her philosophy is that she genuinely believes that everyone has the ability to make healthy and long-lasting changes. Please help me welcome Dr. Justine and Dr. Udani.
Hi, everybody. We just want to share with you great information about upcoming talks. So the Sit and Fit is an easy 7 to 10 minute exercise to wake up those joints. Great for those who can't do stand-up exercises, have bad knees, bad hips. For seniors, this is awesome. Gave it to my mom. We also have our Theraball workouts. The first one's all body weight. Second one is with weights. At the end, you might see me fall. And we also have a Bossu ball. That's the blue ball with a black top, really based on core and balance. These are things that you can have at home now that it's just much more difficult to get to the gym. And of course, you know, over Christmas break, we tend to eat a little bit more. So this is a great time to move a little bit more. So that's why we're providing these talks for you. So upcoming after the new year, we have our weight loss series, our heart health series. We have planned our talks all the way to summer now online, just to keep on giving to you because we care. So today's focus, though, is on EMF. And there's a lot of confusion, folks, on EMF, and there's a lot of controversy. So we've chosen Dr. Jocker's article to try and clear up the things that you can do, even if we can't understand everything about EMF. And certainly, I don't think today we're going to clear up the entire controversy out there, but our goal is to try again to focus on health with the 5 essentials of health. And that's maximizing your mind and your spirit, dealing with stress, maximizing your nerve flow with chiropractic, and maximizing your exercises and your oxygen with which can be done with physiotherapy, with getting outside, getting to the gym. We can talk about maximizing your nutrition and your nutrients, and that can help you can get with our naturopaths and our nutritionists. And the 5th essential is minimizing toxins and toxic load. And EMF can be a part of that toxic load. All of us are exposed to EMF. None of us are exempt, whether we have computers or tablets, Wi-Fi, microwave, other appliances, cell phones, alarm clocks. It's part of our modern day life. I can't really think that I'm going to avoid it fully. That's just not possible in the way that I live, and certainly likely for yourself as well. And just because it's readily available, we kind of think it's safe. Like we get that opinion then, well, you know, if you can just buy it off the shelf, it must be safer because everybody has it. It must be safe. But certainly, you know, by my computer, I have EMF protectors that you can buy. So on my phone, I have an EMF protector. So maybe it starts to look at that there are risks with EMS, electromagnetic frequencies, and how can we minimize those risks if we can't be perfect? We know that 90% of the population is using electrical appliances, and probably you are too. So our goal is to try and find easier ways to manage this stress. That's our goal with today. We know that there are lots and lots of dangers and symptoms that are hard to understand with this exposure, because it could be symptoms that are confusing with other symptoms. Many people are even confusing these symptoms or questioning this with respect to COVID. I don't know what's true there, but I know that the symptoms related to EMF exposure could be things like fatigue. Well, that's like hard to understand, right? Where that fatigue could come from. Could think you just had a bad night's sleep. It can be things like headaches, insomnia, dizziness, nausea. Some people are relating like EMF exposure to increase of cancer, just like they say maybe increased x-rays are not good for pregnant women or for babies. So we do know that there are challenges, and our goal is to find ways to safely manage those today, give you hints, but I don't think perfection is the goal. Our goal is just a bit better, and we hope to be able to achieve that with this talk today, to help you reduce that toxic load in the body.
Yes, so what Dr. Justine mentioned, we're exposed with EMFs every day in our lives, and it is really hard to completely be getting rid of it. We have to be living off grid for out in the wild to really not be exposed to it, because it's just everywhere these days. And our goal with this talk is to, just have a discussion and talk about some of the potential harmful things of EMF. And, there's still a little controversy, like Dr. Justine mentioned, about this, because, we still don't know if there's a direct correlation, but we do know there's all these symptoms that some people people are starting to experience that can be related to EMF. So what we really want is to reduce that toxic burden, so that if we are experiencing some symptoms related to EMS, then we're able to handle it and our bodies are able to withstand it better. So what is an electromagnetic field? So EMFs are in nature as well as in our technologies. So the ones in nature are obviously natural. So for example, sunlight can create EMFs. The grounding of the earth creates EMFs as well. And then modern technology creates EMFs to our phones, our laptops, our computers, our TVs, like everything, microwaves can have an electromagnetic field around them. So it's the exposure that we get from the technologies that is kind of becoming worrying. So there's two different types of EMF exposure. So there's ionizing and non-ionizing. So think of ionizing radiation as that's the radiation you get from X-rays. So that is a little bit on the higher end of the spectrum. So it's a little bit more damaging to your nerves and your cells and your DNA. So that's why, we should not be exposed to that a lot. But what about the non-ionizing radiation? So that's on the other end of the spectrum. It's low-level radiation that EMF releases, but we have it everywhere. Our computer can release some of this non-ionizing radiation. Microwaves can emit this. So the really point is, at what point are we getting too much? Because we're exposed to it at so many different sources. So like we mentioned before, there are natural sources of EMF. So let's say you go hiking, you get that sunlight from the water. And then, so these are all natural. These are actually can be beneficial for us. And then you have the non-natural electromagnetic field. So these are, things from our computers or TVs and Wi-Fi, for example. And, let's be honest, because the pandemic, we're mostly staying indoors. People are working from home. We're exposed to all these EMFs so much more constantly now, because, we're not really going outside. We're not really socializing outside. We're mostly on our phones or doing laptops or computers. So we're exposed to it basically 24/7 at this point.
So if we look at the non-ionizing radiation, you can see the list there. One of the things about the smart meters or the energy meters, power lines, we know that we typically don't want houses under power lines. That's not the best place to live if you can. We also know from thinking about wherever your fuse box is, your smart meters, that's not the wall of your house where you want to have your bed. Many people will say make sure your bed is on the opposite side of the room and the wall, because it will travel. So definitely looking at also things like having your bed away from your cell phone, um, if you're charging your cell phone, not to have that done in your bedroom, not to have your cell phone under your head when you're sleeping, to use like an alarm clock. So trying to find ways to have these areas off our bodies are some of the things that we're going to be discussing today, as well as the risks of Bluetooth, which we're seeing with the headless earphones, earbuds, and the Bluetooth for your ear, in your car. So this is just all around us, this non-ionizing radiation. And as Dr. Udani said, it's not one thing, it's the things, unfortunately, as they add up, that can create a challenge, and we can't see it. So what you can't see is hard to measure, or hard to be afraid of, or hard to try and adjust to. If we look at the ionizing radiation, you can think of lights. I know in our office, we changed to healing lights. With x-rays in our office, we reduce the number of x-rays, we reduce the number of views, we make sure that we have shielding. We write that down specifically on all of our x-ray forms, so that the x-ray medical clinic will do the shielding, because they often don't do that for the medical doctors. And we try to minimize these at all times in order to help people make the healthiest choices long term. If we look at the range of the wavelengths, you can see that it starts low and then increases from the appliances from your home all the way to the gamma rays. And the thing is that you can't see or quantitatively measure it in front of you, and then you have no symptoms at the beginning, right? You don't feel any difference at the beginning, but when it builds up, you start to notice it. So it's kind of like if you gain 1 pound, 2 pounds, you don't notice it in your pants. If you gain 5 pounds, you maybe notice a little bit, but if you gain 10 pounds, it's hard to do those pants up. Then you have trouble. You can feel the difference. Well, this is the same thing when the EMFs start to add up. So that's why we want to try to to minimize the exposure over time, because otherwise we can kind of think that it's not real, right? Or that because we can't notice it, therefore it's not a big deal. So if you look at the main areas of the exposure, we know things like microwaves. Don't stand in front of the microwave, but you can't feel the microwave, right? One of the areas where I can feel, though, is if I hold a cell phone by my ear, eventually I can feel like a buzzing or a numbness by my ear. And other people have noticed that as well. And so that doesn't make it better to have a Bluetooth, right? To make my head like an antenna or a Wi-Fi. Ideally, speakerphone is still the best. Another area is the cordless phones. More people are getting away from those cordless phones within their homes because they're using cell phones more. But we try to have things less to our head. We know that some of the research shows that those who wear a cell phone on their hip in the same place all the time, we know that that can, when they x-ray them, they can see the bone loss, the same square shape as the phone. So there's a lot of controversy on this, but it can't hurt to say, don't put the cell phone in your bra. Don't put the cell phone in your front pocket. Don't put the cell phone on your body when you're in the car. As much as you possibly can, have these areas that have EMFs, try and have them off your body to make sure that you're healthier. If you look at some of the health hazards and symptoms from reduced sleep, melatonin, headaches, nerve damage, hearing damage, eye problems, affecting people, bring it up to memory and dementia, Alzheimer's, brain tumors. The research is here with Dr. Jockers, and I know that some of it's controversial, but do you want to take the risk? Ask yourself. Is it worth it if it's something that you can change? So that's what we want to go over today.
Yes, so smart meters. So these days, back in the day when the utility companies, they used to use more, they basically, the current smart meters are sending out impulses almost every hour, every minute to the main pole utility companies. Whereas back in the day, that wasn't done. Somebody came in, measured it, and then took it to the main head office. But the thing with the new smart meters is that they are sending a constant impulse or constant signaling. And this is what Dr. Jocker especially thinks can be worrying, because you're sending this constant EMF exposure into people's homes, and it is traveling throughout the neighborhoods. And what's important when you think about radiation is the farther you are away from it, the less exposure you get. So think about it, the farther you put your phone or your computer or, it's away from your body, the less exposure your body will get. So the thing with smart meters is if it is so close to your home and it's sending these impulses, then you're constantly exposed to a low level or a level of exposure of EMF that might, add up over time. Just like what Dr. Justine mentioned with that amazing analogy about, 1 or 2 pounds a day, you won't, or a month, you won't notice it. But when it adds up, then you start to get these, you start to notice it, and you might get these symptoms that might seem like very vague, like fatigue, like headaches, memory loss, but they could be due to added EMF exposure. So everything is connected. So like we mentioned, because we're living in the 21st century, we're living in the century of technology. We have Wi-Fi everywhere. We have our phones basically almost all the time with us, and especially in our bedrooms as well while we're sleeping. Some of us are charging our phones. We are buying a lot of things online. We're working more online. We're even going to school online now because of the pandemic. So we're being exposed to a lot of these EMFs just on the day-to-day. So everything's on the internet. That means we're so much more connected and so much more exposed to all these different levels of EMFs. And these can add up. That's the big thing, is one by one, they might be low, but then when all of it is in our bodies or we're exposed to it all the time, that's where this added effect can occur. And of course, it's controversial, but do you really want to take a chance, right? You'd rather be preventative instead of, being faced with these symptoms for the long term. So we have the new networking, much faster network called 5G. And this had a little bit of controversy coming in right at COVID. People were wondering if this is COVID was to cover up 5G setting up. And you know what? We don't know. We don't really have any set facts that say it has or it hasn't. But what we do know is that 5G has known side effects. Because 5G is much faster than the networks that we are using right now, it tends to use a little bit more of that EMF frequency. So it's a lot stronger. And if you're faced with it all the time, you tend to get some damage into your cells. So you can experience DNA damage, disrupting how our cells are working. We can have reduction in the melatonin. So sleep patterns can be off. It can, disrupt our blood sugar as well, in the brain specifically, because the brain is much more susceptible to EMF exposure. Same with our nerves as well. So that's why people get that tingling sensation, people get memory loss, things. Those are very vague symptoms, but they could be because of the EMF exposure. So 5G can have all these side effects. And exposure EMF hypersensitivity. So actually, one of my colleagues works in St. Catharines, and she works for the naturopathic clinic, which is completely EMF free. So because most of their patients are sensitive to EMF. So when they come in, she herself can't even have a cell phone in the area because those patients will get headaches and start to feel fatigue. So they are so sensitive at this point because they might have been exposed to so much EMF when they were, when they're growing up or just through work, et cetera, et cetera. So EMS can affect your nervous system. It may affect it, and that's why we notice a lot of these nervous system related issues like tingling sensation, headaches, fatigue, memory loss, sleep patterns. And some people are particularly more sensitive to EMF. And so this is why this might be something, this might be the hidden reason for some of your symptoms. If you're finding that, you know, you've been to the doctor, you've been to all these other healthcare practitioners, and they aren't able to find out what's really going on with you. So this might be something to take a look at. So these are some of the symptoms of EMF exposure. And the thing with it is that it can come across like so random. You know, you can have lack of concentration, then you have hormonal changes, or you're experiencing nausea and then headaches. It can seem all over the place, but that could be because of EMF exposure and hypersensitivity. So this is why it's really, really important to come and speak to a healthcare professional, come and speak to a chiropractor, come and speak to Dr. Justine, especially if you're noticing these nervous system related issues like headaches and things like that, so that we can assess to see, is there something about EMF exposure that you're experiencing? Are you having a hypersensitivity reaction to all the technology that's in your house? And then, so these are some other signs of electromagnetic sensitivity. So think about it as things like fatigue. You might even get palpitations in your heart. You can get pins and needle sensation. You can have skin issues as well. It can also affect things that has to do more internally. So, you know, the release of glucose and all those things. Because think of it as everything is connected to nerves, right? So nerves are sending the signals down, and it's an electrical impulse. So EMF with the radiation can affect that nerve signaling. So all these symptoms can be related back to the nervous system in a way, because it's affecting the nervous system, it's affecting the brain. And that's why people experience these kind of symptoms when they are sensitive to EMFs and they're exposed to it all the time. So what are some protection strategies for reducing our burden of EMFs? So really one of the best things to do is to reduce your daily EMF exposure. So what that means is getting outside or staying away from your laptop or your computer, not wearing it close to your body, like Dr. Justine mentioned, not wearing it in your pockets or in your close to your heart, or even being on the phone, texting instead of, you know, calling or having a phone call. And so these are really important. And I personally don't charge my phone at night when I'm sleeping. I keep it away from my bed. I put my phone on airplane mode, so that way there's no Wi-Fi coming out of it, you know, emanating from it. So those are some really, really simple habits to do that can kind of protect you from that daily constant exposure. Some other things is you can use an EMF protection, like things that you can put on your phone or your computer that can prevent or limit the EMF. And so yeah, this is really important to do. And these are some really easy steps that you can do to limit it. And the other big thing is Wi-Fi as well, you know, because we're always exposed to Wi-Fi these days. So limiting your Wi-Fi use to the necessary minimum, or even turning your Wi-Fi completely off at night when you're sleeping. That way, you know, you're not exposed to it all the time. Another really, another effective way is, instead of using Wi-Fi, you can use Ethernet cable, so like a direct internet connection, so that the Wi-Fi isn't in the air, kind of giving that constant exposure. So, and you know, like we mentioned, keeping those tablets and technology, electronic things away from our body as much as possible. Not having your laptop on your lap while you're working, because that radiation can come so close to, you know, your important organs like your ovaries, your uterus, especially if you're trying to have children. That's one of the things as well to take into account. So what is the role of a naturopath? So what can I do that will potentially, that can help reduce your exposure to EMF? So I think of this as, you know, EMF is just adding into that general inflammation that's happening in the body. You know, it's increasing inflammation. That's why you get those symptoms of headaches, symptoms of memory loss, fatigue, dizziness, things like that. So my job is to reduce that inflammation that EMF is giving. So helping you with adding more anti-inflammatories into your body, helping you with increasing antioxidants into your body, so your body has a better chance fighting off that inflammation. And of course, helping with diet and helping with your sleep patterns. Sleep is so important for your brain health. So how to have a proper good night's rest, especially if you're stressed during these times. So these are all things that I, as a naturopathic doctor, can help you to overall combat the EMF exposure too. Because think of everything as pieces of a puzzle, right? Everything has its place and everything can add to that inflammatory response. So EMF is another piece of that puzzle that we need to take control of. And this is something that Dr. Jockers recommend. It's called green wave filters. This can reduce that dirty electricity in buildings. So dirty as in like this high radiation, high waves. And so this green wave filter can properly filter the dirty electricity out so you don't get this constant exposure. So something, if you're interested in, definitely check out his article to get more information about that.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Udani. And definitely, reducing stress on our body, whether it's chemical stress, physical stress, emotional stress, electromagnetic stress, is always a good thing. And sometimes you need help with it. We can't get away from it. So we need a system in order to manage it. And in this case, it is pretty much impossible to get rid of all EMF stress, but if you can look at ways to reduce stress in other areas, your body will be able to manage it better. So not using your phone while it's charging is a good idea. Turning it off, just like we need to turn social media off and mainstream media off to just give ourselves a break from the stress of what's going on right now. The phone can get hot if you use it a lot. Right? It's working hard. I know if I take a lot of pictures and send a lot of pictures, the phone gets hot. It's time to get it a chance to turn off and get it off of our bodies, into a purse, into a bag, on the seat beside you, putting in an airplane mode, not using Bluetooth, texting, long conversations, using a landline. I know many of us, to save money, are not using landlines, and it's easier to be in multiple areas of room or different areas of the house without using a landline, but then making sure that that phone isn't sitting in your lap. It's beside you or on a desk beside you, and looking at ways to have EMF protection. There's multiple different kinds. Dr. Jocker sends some, Tony Robbins sells some. If you look at EMF protection online, you can see all different examples. I've experimented with them. I'm not sure which one's best. You can't feel it working. You just got to trust. It's up to you to make the decision. We can't advise you really on which ones. We're not experts in the EMF protection. What Dr. Udani and I are experts in is reducing stress and inflammation on the body. That's what we can do. I encourage you to do your own Google searches and do your own search as far as other products that you can potentially buy. I think we went through all of these examples right now, but if you look at Dr. Jocker's article, he has some pretty cool ideas just to make it a little bit better for protecting yourself with your cell phone. So what is the role of the chiropractor? Certainly, I'm not getting rid of EMF exposure, all right? But what the chiropractor does is find and remove subluxations. And the cause of subluxations are the 3 T's. Trauma, thoughts, like negative thoughts, trauma, and toxins is the 3 T's. Trauma, like repetitive strain, falls, injuries, and then stress or negative thoughts affect your body and affect the tension in your body, and toxins affect the tension in your body and the inflammation in your body. So what we do, we're experts finding and removing subluxations, and our goal is to remove that stress on your body, help you be able to cope with stress better.
Yes, and one of the best, and I think probably my favorite way to reduce the EMF exposure, and like Dr. Justine mentioned, we can't see it, we can't sense it. So it's one of those things that, we just, we got to be proactive about it, because we can't really measure it at this point in ourselves and personally. So something I really like to do is grounding your body daily. So even if you don't feel something, just do this, because it's so great for relaxation. It's really great because when you're barefoot, for thousands of years, we were barefoot. We didn't wear shoes. And now we're almost we feel separated from nature. So getting barefoot and going for a little stroll in your backyard, just feeling that earth beneath your feet is so amazing to ground yourself, because like we mentioned, the earth contains natural EMFs. So that can help ground us back into, it can help decompress, it can help us discharge into the earth if we do have any negative exposure from all the technologies that we're surrounded in the day. So what I usually do is, I take my shoes off, I go to my backyard, I do a little walk. Sometimes my cat joins me, so you can have your cat join you with it as well. And then just, looking at the garden. And even sometimes I just go on the deck. So if you have a wooden deck, just being on your feet, reading a book, can be amazing. Going for walks and then dipping your feet in that stream, that fresh water, soaking it for a couple minutes can really help you, calm yourself. It's very relaxing. It's de-stressing. So, we want to de-stress you as much as possible. And, even hugging a tree. So, my colleague, Dr. Marissa, she made a post about how amazing it is to hug a tree, and, you get that natural grounding. And, so these are some things that can help you with balancing your EMF exposure. So why is grounding so amazing? It's because, we tend to are exposed to so many positive ions. So it says it's positive, but it's not necessarily good for you. So these positive ions need to leave our bodies. Otherwise, they start to, attack our cells and things. So that's why our ground, when we walk barefoot, it leaves our bodies and enters the ground. So that's why it's so good to ground ourselves, and being in nature is a really great way to reduce that exposure.
Next one, we want to make sure, because inflammation is damaging to our health no matter what. So we want that anti-inflammatory lifestyle, that anti-inflammatory diet, in order to manage stress better. So going green, guys, green, as much as your plate, half your plate green if you can. If you're having an omelet, add that spinach, organic if you can. Add all vegetables if you can, things that are green, celery and cucumber, to make it easier. Add those healthy spices and herbs, low glycemic fruits. Instead of going for the banana, go for the green apple if you can. The lemons in your water, lemon and ginger water can be amazing if you're just getting bored of plain water. Going for low glycemic berries, and adding the healthy fats like avocados, and the healthier grass-fed proteins or free-range proteins or wild fish. Adding the fermented foods. Increasing your water. I got to tell you right now that wearing these masks and dealing with the water and getting as much water, I'm finding it hard. It is harder than it was before. So making sure that you make a point of how much water are you having? Are you having enough? For me, what I do is I get it all ready in the morning, so that way I know I have to get through it in the day. I make sure I have that big glass of water first thing in the morning before I start my day with my vitamins. Try to end my day, an hour or two before, with a big glass of water. So, but part of it is awareness. Half your body weight in ounces of water. And if you're also finding it difficult to drink water through a mask, start to give a check on yourself. Are you pre-preparing? Are you organizing those breaks? Do you have water on you at all times? Are you using a glass or metal water bottle versus a plastic, unhealthy water bottle? So just double checking that you have that anti-inflammatory diet to just help your body manage stress, including toxic stress and EMF stress, better. Along with that anti-inflammatory diet is reducing stress. And that's what naturopathy does. That's what healthy diet does. That's what chiropractic helps you with, is reducing stress on the body. And it's stressful times for me, for my loved ones, thinking about not being able to have Christmas with my grandma who's 95 and she's missing her 95th birthday. These are stressful times. So finding ways to manage that with meditation, with prayer groups, with gratitude, with journaling, even if it's cold, getting out to hug a tree, get out with nature, or just lean against a tree, to stand on your deck even for just a few minutes, put the hat and the scarf on, get outside. We need fresh air, and especially if you have children who are online for everything that they do, their fun time, their YouTube time, their Netflix time, and then their school time, making sure that your child, everybody gets a chance to just be outside a little bit every single day. And then check yourself, because our schedules are different, making sure you have a routine for that sleep. Going to bed at a similar time, getting up at the same time. That routine helps with that circadian rhythm, which will help all moods, help all energies, and help us have that more anti-inflammatory lifestyle. But again, if you're stressed or you're anxious, you can't get to sleep. You're feeling overwhelmed. You're in bed, but you're not sleeping. Watch our sleep video. We did one already, but if not, get help. Talk to Dr. Udani. Come talk to me. Get a consultation. Ask more questions. Get more people on your team to help you make healthier choices, or make, even when you know what to do, how do you do it? How do you get coached along to do the things you know you need to do? These top anti-inflammatory foods, we've taught lots on them. We need to be able to add the anti-inflammatory foods and get rid of the ones that cause more damage to our bodies. Again, we're not going to be perfect, but if one change a week, maybe you change to whole sprouted bread instead of white bread, brown bread. Maybe you just go to, this week, I'm only going to add wild fish once a week instead of the easy fish that you can just throw in the oven on a baking sheet. Like making one change a week to get rid of those inflammatory foods, and one change to add the healthier foods, or add a new spice once a week. Add a new spice and look up a recipe with rosemary or turmeric. Add one new change a week that will allow us to manage the stressful times that much better.
Yes, and I always say anti-inflammatory diet tops any really herbs or supplements you can have. So always going for those good healthy foods. And like Dr. Justine mentioned, she always has amazing tips. Start at one tip at a time, one habit at a time. One new healthy fruit or vegetable once a week. And if there are definitely further things we can do to help with things like herbs and anti-inflammatory supplements, that just helps with reducing that overall stress and overall inflammation. So things like omega-3 fatty acids. So if you aren't able to, get that from the fatty fish, there's supplements for that. There's melatonin, which is, a really amazing antioxidant for the brain. And it also helps with sleep. Vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, selenium. These are all great for promoting your immune system, for detoxing, for anti-inflammatory as well. And what I want to say is, this can be a little overwhelming. This can be, you might have a hard time finding what to start first. Do you need all of these all at once? Do you just need one thing? I always say get a baseline done first, so that if you are deficient in certain nutrients, we just need to get you that as well. Because if you go to the store, the supplement aisle, there's so many products out there now. So speaking to naturopath like myself, or even our holistic nutritionist, can help you figure out what is what you really need. Do you need all these supplements, or do you just need one or two? And that's why have a coach, have someone on your side that can guide you through these confusing, these stressful times. And yes, like we mentioned before, these are all the different electronic magnetic fields that we're exposed to every day. And it's this burden that we're trying to lower. It's that stress and the inflammation that we're trying to lower through our diet, through our adjustments, and our lifestyle. So we talked a little bit about this in the previous slides as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Udani. This is a hot topic with EMF and with 5G. There's a lot of what we can't control, but let's focus on what we can control. And that is our ways to manage stress and ways to manage our diet and ways to manage our lifestyle. So, as always, we're trying to provide you great information of these upcoming talks and upcoming series. Share them with friends, share them with loved ones. Our goal is really to give these as a gift back to you and the people you care about. And to help others, please do a review. I know people judge where to come if they want to come to our office based on your reviews. Literally, people will say, "I came in because so and so wrote this review. It helped me relate." So take the time, please. That is your gift back to others because this is a stressful time. People are overwhelmed. People are anxious. People are, because of stress, making unhealthy choices. So we want to be able to help them, and they need you. And the step that you can do is to write a review to help those people who are searching for, a godsend. They're searching for the light. They're searching for hope. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your reviews, and stay tuned because we're going to keep on giving. We've got a plan going well into the new year. And we want to continue this process of giving back to you and making a difference, not just in Brampton, but well beyond. So have a great night.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.